shooting right now. Right in front of me. There's a shooter right now in front of me. Bro, oh my God!
From triumph to tragedy, videos continue pouring into our newsroom hours after a mass shooting at today's rally following the Chiefs' Super Bowl victory parade. Good evening, everybody. I'm Chris Katz.
And I am Bria Berry. Those shots were fired just as the rally was ending. That gunfire sent hundreds of people running for safety. Here's what we know so far about this investigation. We know one woman is dead, 22 people are hurt, and several of them are children.
The victims are being treated at 3 area hospitals tonight. We know that police have 3 people in custody. Our team coverage continues right now. Our reporters have been on this story for hours. We begin with KMBC 9's Laura Moritz and Len Jennings, who were nearby when those shots rang out. Len, Laura?
Yeah, Chris and Bria, we're still just outside Union Station. It's still cordoned off everywhere. There's police tape, so the active investigation is still happening into what happened earlier today when we were there and heard the shots fired. Chaos, confusion followed, and of course we're still waiting word on why something like this tragedy would happen.
The team was still on the stage. I mean, the rally had literally just ended, and we were just about ready to kind of wrap up and put a bow on everything when we realized that shots had been fired from our own security detail, and we realized very shortly after, through a lot of confusion, that there was a victim not very far from where we were on our platform. And then about 3 minutes later or so, we heard more gunfire on the east side of the fountain in front of Union Station. And there was more people kind of running, trying to get away from that. All the while, there were still hundreds of thousands of people not knowing anything, who were still sort of basking in the triumph of the Chiefs being the world champions. And so it was just a crazy situation. Law enforcement then calmly trying to get people to vacate the area, as then they were working on yet another scene in the parking lot to the west of Union Station. And
it was just the response from all law enforcement was very quick. From 3 or 4 or 5 different scenes that have yet to be confirmed, that were just from what we saw, where they were rushing inside Union Station to the parking garage, to the west side of the lawn, to the east side of the lawn, down Pershing. They were responding to several different areas, and then of course we're getting more and more information as it's becoming available, but just obviously just a very scary situation here in Kansas City.
Very scary situation, and one woman has died in all of this, died on the scene, and there are 22 other people who have been shot, and we have children anywhere from 6 years old to 15-year-old who have been shot. So just a rotten, horrible way to end a day that was supposed to be celebratory. We want to go to our Brian Johnson, who's at police headquarters, who has been following the investigation that is really in its beginning stages. Brian?
Yeah, Laura, Len, well, Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves, I spoke with her this afternoon. She says the entirety of the shooting happened outside of Union Station on the west side of that complex. Now, police have not yet said how many guns were involved or how many rounds were fired, but we do know 22 people were hit by those bullets. No officers were injured by the shooting, although some were injured in the aftermath of trying to tackle some of the suspects and in getting people into custody. Now, 3 people have been detained. Chief Graves did not say they are suspects at this point, but they are in custody. They're also working to determine if one of those individuals was in fact tackled by a few Chiefs fans at the rally. Some videos on social media have indicated that is the case. Kansas City Fire Chief Ross Grundison says 8 people are still in life-threatening condition. Today, there were 800 officers on duty securing the parade and rally.
This is not Kansas City. I'm angered by what happened. But I want you to know that the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department and all the law enforcement officers that were there today, that were serving and protecting, did the best that they could, and I'm so proud of them that they ran into danger getting 2 people into custody, and at the same time rendering life-sustaining aid to those victims. We were here for a safe celebration, and because of 2 bad actors or more, it is why we're standing here today. We will recover as a city.
I'm heartbroken. First of all, I'm praying for the victims and the families impacted. I start with them. I'm incredibly upset, disappointed. I was there with my wife, I was there with my mother. We never would have thought that we, along with Chiefs players, along with fans, hundreds of thousands of people, would be forced to run for our safety today. I think that I'll let the investigation shake out before coming to any further conclusions, but I think the initial response absolutely is anger. You know, we have done a number of these now, and this is a day that a lot of people look forward to, something they remember for a lifetime. And what they shouldn't have to remember is the threat of gun violence, marring a day like this, injuring them and their families.
So many people feel the same way tonight. Officers are setting up a centralized phone number with so many witnesses, so many victims. They're hoping to get all those firsthand accounts, and they are going to put that number together. Once we learn what the number is, we'll bring that to you as soon as we learn it. Live outside police headquarters, I'm Brian Johnson, KMBC 9 News. Let's